Hello, I'm Demis Hellen, and this is the final episode in the Minimal Techno series, and we're going to take a look at parallel compression and mastering using Cubase Pro 13 stock plugins. So in the final episode, we are going to look at how I have just made some final tweaks using some parallel compression, and then I'm going to show you my quick mastering chain there that I've used using some stock plugins from Cubase. So we've utilized a little bit of parallel compression. This is the act of mixing half of the original signal and the compressed signal, and we're using effects channels to do this and a compressor to severely over compress that channel and then feed it back in so we get a little bit of that over compressed signal thickening up the track. So this is best heard on the bass channel here. You can see we've got this send being sent to this effects channel where they've got a tube compressor and it's been over compressed. So I'm going to turn this on and off so you can hear it. It's very subtle and I advise you wear some headphones. You can see that it acts a bit like glue compression, but we're feeding in that signal underneath the original signal, so we're getting a bit of a balance. So at the moment where it's sat, I would say we're getting somewhere close to the 50% mark, so we're getting half and half there, maybe a little bit less than half and half. And you can hear that it brings a lot more life to that bass, and we're doing the same with the kick and the percussion. And I'm just going to play them all together, and then you can hear the differences with these channels unsoloed and soloed. So I'm going to take them away first so everything's on. I'll take it off and then add it back in. You can hear, if you listen on the headphones, you can hear just a little bit of energy drop in there. And that smidge of energy is going to work better in that final master. So that's just the art of adding some extra overdrived, or should we say overcompressed signal fed back into the mix. So we're getting the best of both worlds in that parallel compression. So let's take a look at the master channel. So I'm going to turn all these off. I'm just going to leave the limiter on so we're still getting a little bit of volume gain so you can still hear it. But we've got a compressor, multiband compressor, and a EQ, and then finally the limiter if we just load that in as well, like so. So the compressor is just tickling the top of the mix, and what this is going to do is it's just going to bring out all the subtle details, and doing this on a 2:1 ratio is going to give you a better result, more transparent, because we don't really want to hear any compression at this stage. We want the master to be nice and smooth, and we don't want to hear like ducking and peaks dropping and things coming through too loud and stuff like that. You're going to get horrible compression artifacts. So you can just see it just brings a little bit more to the mix. It just glues it together just a smidge to make way for this multiband compressor and the EQ. Now, multiband compression can be a very tricky subject, but if you think in terms of the 4 bands, you're going to control the lows, the low mids, the mids, and the highs. So you can see I'm controlling the lows, and then I'm going to call this the low mids and the boxy area, where the power from the bass is coming from. Then the audible part of the bass and the rest of the track is sort of coming through this middle section from 5 to around 6K, and then from 6K upwards we've got the upper mids and highs. And what we're doing is individually compressing these channels. So I'm going to turn these off, turn this on, and then I'll bring them in one by one. So from that, you can see we're getting some very gentle compression. You can see pretty much 0 dB there. There is a little bit happening, but these are 2 dB, 2.5, 1.5. we're just getting some slight dB reduction, but it's just giving some life to the track. So just the same way as this compressor has done its job, this one is doing it on the individual band basis, giving you a little bit more control over that final mix. And you can obviously drive some extra punch, extra warmth, extra mids in there, but in a controlled manner. So just listen again to the sounds being taken off so you can hear how it starts losing a bit of energy and power. It's most noticeable on the first band for the warmth. And don't forget, we have some presets in here if you wanted to use the Dance Master, for example, or if you wanted to use that particular setup, you can copy that on screen and save that as a preset. But I like to make my own based on where things are in the mix. So these bands are split where the kick and the bass overlap. So we're going to get all the kick and sub in this section, and then we're going to get the sort of main body of the bass in this section, and then we're going to get all those mids in there and the highs. So I'm really focusing it and tailoring it to the track that I am working on. Then we move on to the EQ, and I've loaded the Mix Bus 2 preset for this, and this has done the trick. So don't overthink it too much. You can still tailor this and obviously tweak things to get everything sat in place, but this just brings back that last little bit of warmth before we boost it through this limiter. And what this is doing is regaining the warmth in the low end whilst controlling the mids and just bringing some of the highs to a crispier finish. Then finally, we go through the limiter, which I'm using the Dance Master. So I've just picked the Dance Master out of there and then just tweaked the input and the output there to get that final result. And that's how easily we can quickly master in Cubase using the stock plugins, and you can get a cracking sound out of this. Like, I really did enjoy making this track for this episode. There was so many things that I've never considered doing in the mixes using the stock plugins, but the more you use the basics, the better you get as a producer. And you can see here that we've made a very good sounding track. So hopefully you've learned a little bit in this series in terms of producing overall in Cubase, as well as learning how to make some minimal techno. So with that, I've been Demis Hellen. Thank you very much for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in a future series. Take care.